So talking about partnering with other researchers and organizations, I think that's a big part of Vice President Biden's Cancer Moonshot initiative. And when we think about our goals for the future, whether that be short-term and long-term, and I think Biden's initiative, although it is, I think, 4 years is the goal line, it still will impact research and care long into the future. What are your thoughts on the initiative, and how is that going to impact research and treatment?
Yes. So the Vice President is speaking this afternoon, but I heard him last month at the AACR meeting, and it was a very inspirational talk. And I think many of us in the field and the Vice President and the Director of the National Cancer Institute, who recently wrote about this in the New England Journal, believe that cancer is not one disease. It's very important to think of it that way. There are hundreds of types of cancer and subtypes, and we've cured a few of them. We are capable of curing some. Others, we can cure some of the patients, and in other diseases, in other settings, it remains, very difficult. So I think the first goal is to be a little bit more sophisticated than to say that, 4 years from now we're going to, quote, cure cancer. Mm-hmm. There's not one type. There are hundreds, and we've already cured a few, and we're going to increase that number. And if you really look at what the Vice President is trying to do, it's to try to double the rate of progress. Mm-hmm. That's what he's saying.
Right.
And the concept of a moonshot, everybody has mixed feelings about that. It's a good analogy in that it's something everybody pulls towards, and we put a lot of resources towards. And it's an audacious goal. On the other hand, it's a very poor analogy because unlike setting one man on the moon, we are not 1, 2, 5, or 10 years from now going to snap our fingers and say we're done with curing all forms of cancer in safe, effective, rapid ways. I'm an optimist, but that's not going to happen. So really what the Moonshot is about is accelerating progress, and as we were talking about a moment ago, the best way to do that is to get people to collaborate, and that's one of the approaches that they're trying to do in the government, and I think that's very legitimate, to put incentives there for working together and to realize that you're going to then need to share credit, but we're going to get there faster.
So a major way that we move forward is collaboration, but I think also we can't move forward without the importance of clinical trials. And while we know that a lot of patients do want to participate in clinical trials, I think sometimes there's a bit of a stopgap with doctors being aware of clinical trials not as a last resort of treatment, but possibly as a front line of treatment. So how can we get doctors more involved in thinking of clinical trials as a potential first step in treatment?
To be quite concrete, the official way to get information about clinical trials is through clinicaltrials.gov. And I actually believe that website should be simplified and should be improved. And there have been some specific suggestions for how that would be possible. But even as a physician, I find it, if it's not an area that I'm already extremely familiar with, I find that website to be very challenging to maneuver. So I actually think that's very much within our grasp to make maybe, like you guys do, short video summaries of what is this trial about, who might be the best kind of candidates, just to simplify things a little bit and help people find the information better. I think that's a big thing. Doctors are busy. If they're not familiar with that, they can't directly hold the hand of the patient and walk them through all of these things. So I think a lot of it has to come from also patient support groups and patient advocacy groups to point out, hey, for this rare kind of cancer, this trial looks like it's working well. I think that's a very good way to go.
Great. Well, Dr. Nghiem, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of ASCO.
Thank you very much.